We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history.
Good morning and welcome to Faith on the Frontline, brought to you by LA Talk Live, and we are delighted to have you join us on latalklive.com. Our host and executive producer is the Reverend Dr. Lewis E. Logan II, and I am delighted to share with him as co-host. I'm the Reverend William Monroe Campbell, pastor of the Mount Gilead Missionary Baptist Church here in Los Angeles. We are delighted to receive you, and we want to invite you to call us on 323-247-7443, 323-247-7443. Today, we are delighted to have in studio with us the Reverend Kenneth Baker. He is with the California Council of Churches and serves more specifically as a certified educator with Covered California. And we are delighted to have him with us, and he will be sharing information and insight about the Affordable Care Act, known to us best as Obamacare. As we prepare to receive our guest, the Reverend Baker, we also want to express our appreciation to our sponsors, Uncle Darrow's Cajun Cuisine, located at 2560 Lincoln Boulevard in Marina del Rey. Again, Uncle Darrow's Cajun Cuisine at 2560 Lincoln Boulevard in Marina del Rey. And Doolin's on Crenshaw Soul Food Restaurant, 4859 Crenshaw Boulevard in Los Angeles. Again, that's Doolin's on Crenshaw Soul Food Restaurant, 4859 Crenshaw Boulevard. And certainly for good eating, you want to visit Uncle Darrow's as well as Doolin's on Crenshaw. Now, again, we say welcome to our in-studio guest, the Reverend Kenneth Baker, who comes to us as a certified educator with Covered California. Good morning and greetings.
Good morning, my brother, and God bless you. It's good and a privilege to be here with you this morning.
Indeed, on behalf of Pastor Logan and myself, we are excited to have you with us. And certainly the item of the hour is the Affordable Care Act, known to us again as Obamacare. And there are so many people since its passage who yet have to gain understanding. We understand it's already, some elements have already begun to take effect, and others that are going to effect. Can you bring us up to date on the Affordable Care Act?
Well, I believe at this point where we are in this struggle, and that's exactly how I look at it, as a struggle, we are fighting a marketing campaign more than we're fighting the facts of moving out something that is in fact a law in our country at this time. The law basically states that there is a net that we're trying to fill the holes at the bottom so that we won't lose people. The object is to make sure that we establish a bar. If it is, in fact, a minimum bar, it is nonetheless a bar that allows for us to not allow ourselves to be defined by our poor not having a minimum basic access to some means of health care. We want to make sure that we take care of everybody in our country. And the bottom line is that we're really establishing something with this law that refocuses our effort, our definition of our character on the basis of how we take care of our own.
Okay, so that means that poor people and everyone should have access to health care?
Absolutely. Based upon on the current law, the object and the goal is to make sure that everyone's a participant in the process and everyone's engaged in access. The goal still really is based upon saving money as much as it is creating a more healthy community. There's a lot of preventative care elements to all of this that's being offered, as well as some genuinely key access avenues for people who genuinely have problems that normally would not ever have access to health care. We're eliminating the issues of pre-existing conditions in this effort moving forward. We're eliminating the issue of people not having the affordable aspects of access to health care. The real thing that I don't think anyone ever talks about isn't so much that people have to pay into it. The real issue is it will not bankrupt you to get sick. It will not bankrupt your family to get sick. It will not bankrupt your household. You won't lose the aspects of quality of life for your family if a member of the family, especially the one that's the wage earner in the family, loses a war with sickness. The goal isn't for healthcare to cripple a family or a household or allow for you to be so depleted that you don't have a means of still continuing on as a family. The goal here is that it sets a bottom bar. If you can't afford more than 10% on the year's annual income of output towards your medical expenses, then that bottom bar is created so that you won't lose everything, but you still are obligated to reach that certain bottom bar of the obligation. It's about $6,500 per individual.
So how does a person get involved in or take advantage or avail themselves of Obamacare?
The way that this is being rolled out right now is that we are we're kind of catching up behind the curve in order to deal with the October 1st enrollment. But the October 1st deadline is in fact our opening enrollment period. That's when opening enrollment starts. What we're trying to do as an educator, certified educator, is basically get in the community and talk to people, talk to anybody, talk to everybody, make people annoyed by the fact that we're willing to share the information that they're not getting on regular means of marketing, and share with them from a factual basis as representatives of Covered California the information that is official. The information is directly from the exchange, and we make sure that we circulate information on the basis of documentation, as well as details of what options they may have, to choose from based upon their income.
You said get enrolled on October 1st. What does that mean? How does one enroll, and what are they enrolling into?
There's an open enrollment date. That's when the actual exchange opens its portals. Access to different healthcare plans that are aligned based upon the Affordable Care Act guidelines. And those plans that are going to be listed in the exchange are for people to literally select from based upon financial obligations, based upon medical needs, based upon the doctors of choice you have or the doctors of choice you desire to have. Based upon a better plan, based upon a cheaper plan. You just have options when you go into the web portal site of the Covered California Exchange entity. And what that allows for you to have access to is basically choices.
So I'm a 27-year-old, and on October 2nd, I roll out of bed, and I remember October 2nd was the birthday of Johnny Cochran, and I'm excited about this great attorney who did so much. But I also remember that at the end of his life, he was a victim of some health challenges. Yeah. And I decide that I need to have health care. What do? I wake up, I roll out, this thought hits me, and I realize, hey, I've got to do something about my health care. What do I do?
Go to coveredcalifornia.com.
Covered California. That's COVEREDCALIFOR.
I'm sorry. You're going to abbreviate California. You're just going to end it as CA.
So spell it out for us.
It's going to be COVEREDCA.com. Okay. Coveredcalifornia.com. And it is at that site that you're going to get access to questions like, do you want to enroll? Do you just want more information? Do you need a particular healthcare plan? Do you want to look at various healthcare plans? Do you want to know aspects of what the Affordable Care Act offers with regards to its minimum coverages? Or do you want to know just the prices, the cost of various services that you would have to be obligated to pay? Because it works exactly like our healthcare plan works today. It's just that it's another means of people having access to healthcare that is in fact affordable based upon the buy-in that insurance companies that are participants in the exchange have to actually be obligated to spend 80% of those monies collected back into patient care.
Okay, so now I'm on the screen and I'm seeing all of these questions, and I answer these questions based upon my situation. I'm 27 years old at that. Obviously, I'm older than that, but I'm at that point, the 27-year-old who's looking at the screen and seeing all this information. I'm simply answering the questions that describe who I am and tell about what my healthcare needs are.
Actually, it's not going to be that simplistic. It's going to be more of an alignment where you get connected with somebody that can help you get guided through it. There's a lot to deal with healthcare. I mean, there are tremendous elements to it. The simplicity of it that people understand the most is really based upon what you have to put in, what your obligations are. I mean, you understand what you got to owe or what you have to pay in order to get the services. Everybody understands that portion. What you're getting for your money is what there are people set aside to actually walk you through what you're getting for your money. They're enrollers. They want to make sure that what you're really looking for is going to meet the needs that you have. And if you have even a greater need or a greater concern, that those things are covered by some means of experiential background. Most of these people will be insurance agents or just trained covered California personnel that will be trained with some background in insurance and health plans and things of that nature, that will allow for them to give you greater insights to what you're looking for based upon either your history that you share with them at that time, because you don't have to share a lot of information. You're actually just choosing a healthcare plan, but you want to make sure that you're covered for yourself and your family.
You said I have to pay something. Well, I don't want to take any money out of my pocket. So if I look at that and I say I have to pay something and I decide, well, no, I'm not going to pay anything, then what happens?
There's two sides of that story. There are some plans that you can actually choose that you won't have to pay.
Okay.
Those guidelines are really based upon really what your income is. Most of this is driven by federal poverty line income standards. And if you're anywhere near that particular line, up to 400% of that cost or of that actual amount, those people in that category can have a plan within the exchange. So 4 times the federal poverty line will allow for you to still have access to the exchange in California. The other details of it is that if you can have a plan that fits your needs at a certain level of your income, then that plan is where you have a starting point at. You can choose plans that are lower in, services.
Yes.
But if they're lower in services, they're also lower in costs. So there are opportunities for you to have services that are available to you that are lower with regards to your minimum that you would be seeking based upon your income, but they nonetheless will only allow for you to pay. I mean, literally, you can net zero on payment for some of those healthcare coverages.
But I keep hearing this word mandatory. Does that mean I have to have healthcare coverage?
Yes. These first 2 years are really going to be based upon a pursuit of clarity. I'm obligated to be an educator throughout the year 2014. So even after this enrollment period, I'm still obligated to beat the streets. I'm still obligated to hit church doors and hit houses of faith and just make sure that we explain and share and be available for those who have inquiries concerning what it is the meat of this really addresses. What this will establish, by all means, not only is just a healthier society, it would allow for us to buy into the whole country really focusing on that the person that's an American at the bottom level, whatever that bottom is, how you feel about it, what your view is about everything, whatever that bottom is, you still have minimum means of health care that you can have access to. What makes it affordable is everyone's buy-in. What makes it affordable is the insurance company's buy-in. That whole 80% that they also have to give back. They can't have an overhead that goes or exceeds beyond 20% of the monies they collect. All of that is a buy-in for people at the bottom line to make sure that they're covered. The reality that we're still dealing with is the mandatory element of those who really don't want to have it, that coverage. You mentioned how earlier that you were 27 years old. I'm going to reveal that you're 30. And because of that, you're in a
30
category.
plus 36.
You can add as much you want to. I'm telling your
Yeah.
story. With a person that's 30 years old, you're looking at somebody, and especially what I remember about my 30s. I mean, I didn't have to wear a cape. I was still Superman.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? I can party all night, go to work the next morning. I can think about partying tonight, still be tired in the morning now. But the reality is, back then, I just had a struggle with the issue of having to pay for something I really just felt like I didn't need. I just didn't need it. There's a whole category of people that are literally, I don't need you right now. I'll deal with you later. They have that mindset. Those people still have an opportunity, even within the exchange, to just kind of be in the grid and off the grid, but they take high risk coverages. What they'll do is just basically say, look, I'll take the lowest thing you got. And with that lowest thing I got, I know it's a high risk because I'm not going to ask for any services. I'll just have a tremendously high deductible.
Okay.
Because I'm not concerned about having a problem. If I have an accident, it's on me.
All right. Again, let me say welcome to Faith on the Front Line. Our executive producer and host is the Reverend Dr. Lewis E. Logan II. I'm Pastor William Monroe Campbell, co-host of Faith on the Front Line and pastor of the Mount Gilead Missionary Baptist Church. And we welcome you to our broadcast here at latalklive.com, latalklive.com. And this morning we have in studio with us the Reverend Kenny Baker. He's a certified educator with Covered, California, and on behalf of the California Council of Churches, he's here to share with us information about the Affordable Care Act, which we know and have come to know as Obamacare. He's here letting us know that it is at the point of significant implementation. Some elements have already gotten started, but on October 1, the public will have opportunity to enroll in, which means to begin to take advantage of the Affordable Health Care Act and to enroll and to be able to secure coverage. This is a program that was designed to ensure that everybody has opportunity for health care in America. And so he's telling us a little bit about the portals, and he's telling us where we can get information on October 1st so that we can take advantage of the Affordable Care Act. Again, Reverend Baker, we're so delighted to have you with us as you share with us a little more about the portals and the opportunity for the public, and particularly those who are the least among us, and that's an ironic kind of term, but those who have the least amount of resources. We're all equal. We all valued in the eyes of God. So there's no big I and little you, and yet there are those of us who have fewer resources than others.
Yes, sir.
And so we're talking about a program that allows those with fewer resources to be included, so no one has to be without health care. You want to share a little more with us?
The beauty of this whole journey that we're on, that I find to be very much of a privilege for me to be a part of, is that there is at this one site, this one location, covercalifornia.com, that one site is going to be our main source and resource for information. That same site on October 1st literally transforms and becomes the enrollment site so that people don't have to do a lot of shuffling. What they'll go through as a process in the enrollment effort is they'll be able to go to that site and identify the enrollers that are localized in their area.
Yes.
And attach themselves to somebody that can either walk them through this or get them actually officially in the process and assigned to a healthcare plan.
Okay.
Those people will be obligated folks that will have the credentials that are necessary to make sure that they are confidential, that they abide by HIPAA laws and privacy acts, and make sure that we are in line with what the federal government guidelines are for taking care of people and getting them a part of this program.
You referred to HIPAA laws. Am I right? HIPAA law is the federal law that says that healthcare professionals cannot divulge any information about anyone without their permission.
That's correct.
So their privacy is protected.
That's exactly
Nobody can sneak around the corner and look over your shoulder and then go and tell what they see. Is that correct?
Those are the things we're trained to make sure that no one has the ability to do.
Okay.
It's that kind of security, that kind of intentional effort that's placed behind making sure that we are within the guidelines of protecting people's private information that allows for us to gain a greater confidence in not only what we're sharing, but a greater hope for people really responding to the information we've got to give.
So your privacy will be protected.
That's correct.
Nobody can give up your information.
That's right.
Now, let me ask you a different question. This is the age of the World Wide Web, and we talk about the internet, but there's still some people who either don't have access to it, or some people who have a fear of computers and the internet. Is there a way for them to be able to go somewhere, to walk into somewhere and get the same information or get help if they don't have the command of the internet?
That's the perfect question, quite frankly. I believe, and I am instructed according to my responsibilities as a certified educator, to not just get in the community, but to actually pursue people who would not have access. In the process of reaching out to a community, I'm established in a city called Paris, California. And in that particular city, what I'm addressing there is the need to make sure that we're centralized at that house of faith, that church actually starts broadcasting more information to come to this site to get your information. We are actually aligning ourselves so that we will become one of the enrollment entities, the sites at which people come and actually enroll. So we're establishing a relationship with the community now, so that they'll understand that this is a place you can come to get your information. This is a place that we'll have access to the internet, so that if you need to have access to it, we will have the enrollers here that can walk you through it, that will have access to the internet, that will get you your services and get you covered at that time frame. There'll be appointments, of course, because it'll take about, I believe, 30 minutes or so for you to actually really hone in on what it is that you want to have for you and your family.
So you say 30 minutes. That means 30 minutes to an hour. People get all of the basic information they need so they can get enrolled and take advantage of the Affordable Care Act.
That is both ends. That is the end of getting the educational part, if you just come for that information, as well as when it's the enrollment period. If there's an enroller there, it should take you about 30 minutes to an hour to also get enrolled and fully have coverage after that point.
Now, you say you're in Paris, California. That's not Paris, France. That's P-E-R-R-I-S,
yes,
California, near Riverside.
Yes, but we still drink our tea with our pinkies out.
Okay. But what about somebody who's in Los Angeles, or who's in Pasadena, or who's in Watts, which is a part of Los Angeles, or in Compton? Do they have places where they can walk in? How can they find out this information if they don't have access to the internet? Absolutely.
There are entities doing exactly the same thing I'm doing, whether they're doing them in churches or as nonprofit organizations. The NAACP has an effort that they're pursuing. We have also ward AME CDCs doing an effort. There are various churches doing an effort in this same capacity, not just reaching out to the community, but making sure that they understand that we are also a site that you can come to and get enrolled. We'll have people here ready to enroll you when you are ready to be enrolled. That is the purpose behind a lot of our efforts as certified educators. And thereby, with that effort, we basically are pushing the envelope to make sure that people really get engaged with the full understanding of what the system is all about.
Okay. Now, this morning, one of the main items on the news was the action in the House of Representatives, where they're attempting to defund the Obamacare. Does that then stop us from being able to enroll on October 1st?
No. Matter of fact, the whole defunding effort is something that we really try not to get discouraged by. There's so much misinformation out there, and there's so many efforts going against what it is that's already happened, that's already been confirmed, that's already been approved, that's already been signed into law, that's already been certified, verified, and basically placed on a level that it is approved by the Supreme Court. It's already been tested. It's already been tried. Now, what's being in play now is something that's in the political realm that we try our best not to focus on, but that's something that we really are tremendously confident that it's just games play.
So in other words, it's on. Obamacare has passed. The Congress passed it. Yes. The president signed it. The Supreme Court said that it is constitutional, and so it's on. And so regardless of what we hear on the news, Obamacare is a go.
It's a go.
And so on October 1st, people can take advantage of Obamacare. They can take advantage of the Affordable Care Act, so they should not be frightened or discouraged by what they're hearing. Is that what you're saying to us?
That's exactly what I'm saying. And even more than that, I'm still going to be on the corner. I'm going to be the one yelling, look, I'm not going to say they're lying to you. I'm just going to say that they have their own ways and they have an agenda in mind. And what's already in play is the plan that we have to follow through on. God didn't bring us this far to leave us. We have really traveled through a desert land, a land where there's not a lot of fruit, a land where there's not a lot of information, there's not a lot of fertile soil. The reality is we're going somewhere that only God can bring us, and no one can deny us from getting there. So we're on a journey. We're literally at a place where we have to not take a stand, but realize that we have to continue walking until we arrive at our destination.
Excellent. So we again are excited to have you with us on Faith on the Front Line here at latalklive.com. And we're going to take a few moments break, and we'll be back with you in just a few moments.
Hi, this is Dawn Christie inviting you to join me every Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific, for my all-new show, The Dawn Christie Show. Join me as I discuss love, spiritual readings, your purpose, why am I born, what am I here to do. So don't forget to tune in The Dawn Christie Show at 1 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV, reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Romy Klinger.
This is Rose Garcia.
And we are inviting you to join us for the Romy and Rose Show every Friday at 4 p.m. Tune in for the Romy and Rose Show. We're going to be talking about pop culture, dating, business 101, what's ratchet, what's not ratchet, and music and so much more. So don't forget, tune in to the Romy and Rose Show. About to get real.
Exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality show handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
We're real talk.
Hey y'all, I'm Shaquem Williams, and I'm the host of The Shock Factor here on LA Talk Live. We broadcast to the world every Friday at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Live music, live performances. We're just live. Chef Momo, Life MC, Diana, and once again, your host, Shakim Williams. So come join us every Friday here at LA Talk Live, the world-leading broadcasting internet radio station. The Shock Factor. The Shock Factor. Join us on The Shock Factor.
Again, welcome to Faith on the Front Line. We are here with you over latalklive.com. That's latalklive.com. I'm Pastor William Monroe Campbell, co-host with our executive producer, the Reverend Dr. Lewis E. Logan. And today we're delighted to have in studio with us the Reverend Kenneth Baker. He is a certified educator with Covered California, and working through the California Council of Churches, providing information about the Affordable Care Act, that measure that was passed by the Congress, signed by the President, and accepted by the Supreme Court, that we know as Obamacare. It has begun its step-by-step movements toward implementation, and on October 1st, it goes the next step for open enrollment, where people can enroll and sign in and take advantage of the Affordable Care Act. And it is provided to ensure that health care is available to everyone in this nation, even those who may have the least amount of financial resources have opportunity to enroll and take advantage of the Affordable Care Act, so that we no longer have to be dependent upon the emergency room as our first line of health care. We can take advantage of preventative health care services. And so we welcome again Reverend Baker. Can you bring us further up to date on the kinds of benefits that are coming to us and available to us through the Affordable Care Act, which we know as Obamacare?
Absolutely, my brother. The way that we have structured this particular product is that it has a minimum essential coverage package. That minimum essential coverage package, I want to make sure that I get this thing lined up correctly, really entails that you basically have coverages that take care of your minimum needs. And I want to make sure that I'm on the right.
He has a large notebook with information, and
yeah.
he is looking to get that information so he can share with you, because we want you to have accurate information.
That's right.
So that you can take full advantage of the services that are available to you. Too many people have been the victim of disease that could have been prevented if they had known early enough and had access to the healthcare services. Too many people have been frightened by having to wait long times in emergency rooms when they could have gone to the doctor and been treated and serviced in a much more effective kind of way. And so he's here to bring us that information so that we can take full advantage of the services that are available to us through Obamacare, that we know as the Affordable Care Act.
And basically where we are now is that there are standard plans for individuals, and there are elements that are covering things like ambulance care. There are things that are covered for preventive care. There are incentives primarily because when you go in for preventative care checkups, those are checkups that have no cost entailed with them. You don't pay copay, you don't pay any kind of premium with regards to that. There's simply things that are offered in this package as a free service, as long as you are sticking with your guidelines for preventative care. Those things are covered.
Very good. And when we talk about preventative care, what are some examples of preventative care that we're talking about?
Some are mammograms. Some would be your prostate exams, colonoscopies. There's a gray area with regards to colonoscopy, and I think it has something to do with whether or not it's your first checkup, as opposed to you having a problem and you have continual checkups, but I have to get clarification on that particular one because I'm of age to be checked out. Amen.
Yes.
And with all of that said, I'm encouraging as well the need for us to always be mindful that it is worth going through the process of evaluating where you are, evaluating a baseline of your own health, evaluating the baseline of your family's health, and making sure that there's a net under your family so that everybody's captured with some kind of coverage.
Yes. So it provides care. You said family, so it will provide care for all members of the family from the oldest to the youngest?
Actually, there's a limit that reaches about the age of 26 when it comes to college engaged or college enrolled members of your family. They can stay on your plan for the age up to 26, but literally if they desired at the age of 21, they can get their own plans. And there's some aspects to even the family plan that is limited up to 4 members of the family. So you can actually have your adults and 2 of your children, 3 of your children enrolled in coverage. But beyond that, however many more family members you have, they're just covered under the same cost of what it would, actually cost for those initial members.
Reverend Campbell, I have a question, if
Yes.
I may. All right, I have a daughter and a grandson. She's 22. So she can, as far as October the 1st, go to her local area and apply for Obamacare and get coverage for herself and her child.
That's correct.
Okay.
Now, I need to make a clarification because I realize everybody's really focused on October 1st, and they should be because that's open enrollment. This works literally just like any other healthcare effort, healthcare plan coverage. As soon as October 1st gets here, you're enrolling in something that you choose that you're obligating yourself for in payments and obligating yourself for services. You choose that, but it starts on January 1st. Even though the enrollment period opens at October,
Oh, okay. Okay.
we set off the actual healthcare plan January 1st
Okay.
Of 2015.
of 2014.
14 rather. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me.
So October, November, and December are lead times
That's right.
and enrollment times,
Yes, sir.
but the health care service actually comes into effect
That's correct.
on January 1st.
Absolutely right.
Now, I understand that going back to the time of Theodore Roosevelt, who was the president around the turn of the last century, there was a cry for health care, and it never was achieved. And president after president after president tried to get health care. It was never achieved, but now we have it.
This is unprecedented on so many levels, and the efforts that it was taking our country, it has taken our country to get to this place, still is surrounded with a lot of concerns. It's a lot of concerns that are not different from or not too far removed from the process of implementing Medicare. All of those kinds of concerns were literally aligned with our efforts now. They were concerned about being overly burdened, over extending something that they will always create a dependency from the society regarding. It's no different now. They're concerned about that. And when I say they, I don't really want to push them so far away. They have genuine concerns based upon financial perspectives, but those financial perspectives are really in a vacuum. They're not a reality based upon actual things that are happening. They're fears. They're actual concerns based upon what could happen. They're guidelines based upon what they don't want to happen. They're efforts that are before them on the basis of what they really would rather not do just to find out if this is going to work. And that's where we are right now.
As you speak of the fears, it seems to me that the adversaries to the program
Yes.
have really tried to discourage people from taking advantage of the program. Do you have any sense of why they are trying to destroy, defeat, eliminate, and discourage people from taking advantage of the program?
I really don't believe they have a genuine basis other than speculation. What I do believe is that because I've been hired to do a job, regardless of the speculation, we have created a path, a roadway by which people can stand firmly on and gain a better understanding, a better clarity. And no matter what happens on that road, every step you take on it is for the betterment of mankind within our country. So those aspects of our efforts to move forward are really grounded. The other realities of what could happen with the road as you get down the, as you continue to travel it years later, that becomes an issue of whether or not it will get closer to what we affectionately known as Medicare or Medi-Cal today, or will it go somewhere in an abyss where we just don't have a clue where we'll end up. And I think the path that has been charted at this point is not only clear, concise, precise, but it has an actual means of self-sustaining support as we move forward.
I'm 66 years old, but in the last half an hour, I took on the image of a 27-year-old rolling out of bed trying to get enrolled. Now let me take on the image of a business owner. I'm a business owner. I've got 7 or 8 employees. How am I affected as a business owner with this Obamacare? What does that do to my overhead in terms of providing health care coverage for my employees?
Business owners have choices. They will have choices just like everyone else will have choices. The exchange literally will provide a means by which those who cannot afford health care will have more choices. When it comes to a person that has employees, it's really going to be based upon how much monies they put behind their employees when it comes to their medical coverage. If they pay 50%, 60% or more concerning each the average number of employees for medical coverage, then they're pretty much in a place where they are not even subject to any kind of concerns. The other issue that is going to be a counterbalance is not just the empowerment of the owner of the business, but the empowerment of the employee. The employee then has the option to look at this exchange as well and determine, even if the company is paying 50, 60% and they meet their obligations, the actual employee also has the distinct privilege of looking at this exchange and determining, based upon the company, or well, not the company, but themselves, if they're actually putting out 10%, anywhere near 10%, 9.5% in particular of their monies going towards their own health care. If they look at the exchange, they're going to get a break. They're going to see some things there that they will have that will cover their needs and still give them a break in those essential medical benefits that will be available, and it will be more affordable for them. So they will have a choice. They can still stay with their employee if they want, but they'll have a choice to actually pay something less and go into the exchange if they so desire. Now, there's another side to it, just to kind of be fully disclosed, that there is a wall that's identified as a penalty wall. Everybody know that there's a penalty if you don't participate to some degree. You've got to pay somewhere along the way. In regards to businesses, if they don't supply coverages that allow for people to have their minimum basic, essentials covered, and 60% of, 50, 60% of their medical coverage is paid, and they're still not up to par with regards to the output that's required by the employee, that's close to 8 or 9.5% of their output to their own healthcare coverage, then the employee will have an option to go to another healthcare coverage outside of their employer's health coverage, and the employer themselves may be covered depending on how much they actually allowed coverage for their employees. If they didn't cover their employees sufficiently, then the company may incur penalties concerning whether or not they actually had reasonable basic minimum coverage available for their employees.
As we speak of businesses, Faith on the Frontline is grateful for two businesses in our community. Uncle Darrow's Cajun Cuisine, located at 2560 Lincoln Boulevard in Marina del Rey, and Doolin's on Crenshaw Soul Food Restaurant, located at 4859 Crenshaw Boulevard in Los Angeles. For these two companies serve as sponsors for Faith on the Frontline, and we are indeed delighted for their support and would encourage you to go into Uncle Darrow's Cajun Cuisine at 2560 Lincoln Boulevard or to Doolin's on Crenshaw Soul Food Restaurant at 4859 Crenshaw Boulevard in Los Angeles to enjoy your lunch and your dinner and to be blessed. Again, we are delighted to have you listening in to Faith on the Frontline, and we're going to take a few moments break now and hear from those who also share with us as we enjoy Faith on the Frontline.
This is Brett Chapin.
And this is Dorothy Dillingham Blue, inviting you to join us every Saturday at noon Pacific Standard Time for our show, La La Land Talk.
Join us as we talk with some of the top talent in LA. Artists' untold stories, your phone calls, and live on-location broadcasts have made La La Land one of the best sources in LA for everything entertainment.
So don't forget to tune in to La La Land Talk.
Exclusively on latalklive.com.
You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com.
Saturdays at noon Pacific Time. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/LaLaLandTalk, Twitter, twitter.com/LaLaLandTalk. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live.
And we are more than just talk. I think we've got a Shakespeare monologue or two we could do. Yeah?
Jazz hands.
Kickball change.
Good
That's
stuff.
what I'm saying. Mm-hmm.
I'll do some Pippin.
Ooh, yeah. Some miming. I'm in a box.
Welcome back to Faith on the Front Line. As we come back, we have on the line with us right now.
Hi, this is Minister Leslie Watson Malachi in Washington, D.C. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So good to have you with us. Minister Malachi is the Executive Director of the African American Ministers Leadership Council with People for the American Way, and she's been on the front line in addressing the issues, many issues that affect us, and she has particular insight regarding some of the dynamics that are surrounding the issue of the Affordable Care Act. And so welcome, Minister Malachi.
Thank you so very much, and thank you for allowing me this opportunity to just very quickly to share with your listening audience that they must support the Affordable Care Act. And that we must not be confused when they call it Obamacare. That is not meant to be something that empowers. That is not meant to be something that uplifts. That is not to be something that ensures health and well-being. They are trying to make sure that sick people stay sick. They are trying to make sure that the uninsured stay uninsured. And they, and I don't need to say who they are trying to make sure that when we understand as a people who know people who are uninsured, who know people who have chronic diseases or preconditions, when we know young people who don't have insurance, when we know young people who and elders who are using the emergency room as their primary care places, when they understand that when folks start recognizing that they can mobilize around a particular issue that is going to be beneficial, mind, body, and spirit, such as the Affordable Care Act, when there is a unified movement, a unified voice moving toward one direction, some people get scared about that. Some people don't want us to be unified about this, so there's a lot of misinformation that's out there. But the Affordable Care Act, if your listeners go to www.healthcare.gov, that's healthcare.gov, there's so much information and resources and possibly every question that you can entertain and an opportunity with a 1-800 number to address those that may not be entertained on that website. October 1 is coming. This is it was a voting issue. It is a voting issue. It will remain a voting issue. And for your listeners who are in states who say, well, we don't need to be concerned because we've got it going on, because all is well with me, I would suggest, strongly recommend that we be other-oriented and not think about ourselves, but let's think about our brothers and sisters. Let's think about the children. Let's think about the elders, those who are vulnerable, those who are in need, who don't have and who will have because of this law that's in place. We're no longer debating this. It is the law of the land that's been held up by the U.S. Supreme Court. And so now the president did his part, the administration did their part. Now it's time for us to do our part, and that is to get our people enrolled.
Thank you so much. You mentioned a 1-800 number that people can call to get information. Can you share that number with us again?
Yes, just bear with me 1 second while I pull that number up. But it's located on the website, because when you go to the website, there's a 1-800 number where you can actually talk to a live person. And I apologize because I just lost my link. But folks can go to, again, www.healthcare.gov, and you will see at the bottom of the page, it says if you have questions or comments, to call this number. And people will, any question that you have about whether or not you'll be able to keep your same doctor, about whether or not, again, if you have a chronic disease, if you have conditions that you're bringing into this new process, questions about what does it mean, what does enrollment mean in this period of enrollment that starts October 1st and goes through the 1st of January when the plans have actually kicked in. If you're concerned about your income level and whether or not what you're actually going to be able to afford, this is not intended, as some people say, to break you. It is not intended to be unaffordable. It is the act is called the Patient Protection Affordable Care Act. So protection and affordable are the operative words. And so I want people to be encouraged and to be informed about what this means going forward. And again, enroll yourself, enroll your family, enroll members of your community, and let's just get enrolled starting October 1st of this year.
Thank you again so very much, Minister Leslie Malachi, Executive Director with the African American Ministers Leadership Council of People for the American Way, and she's encouraging us to go online to healthcare.gov, healthcare.gov to get more information. And we're so delighted to have this echo from national leadership. And again, we return to our in-studio guest, the Reverend Kenny Baker, who wants to share with us minimal essential benefits for the Affordable Care Act. Reverend Baker.
The essential health benefits include, and these are the things that you can compare with other services in an apples-to-apples comparison with anybody else that's offering you healthcare coverage. Ambulatory patient services, there's emergency services, there's hospitalization, there's maternity and newborn care, there's mental health and substance use disorder services, including behavioral health treatment, rehabilitative and habilitative services, there are laboratory services, preventive and wellness services, and chronic disease management, pediatric services, including dental and vision care, of which there was recently an update with the dental care for the pediatric services, and their last but surely not the least, prescription drugs.
Thank you. So what we're saying is that the Affordable Care Act is designed to ensure that everybody in America has access to health care. If I'm sick or feel sick, think I'm sick or look sick, I can get access to affordable health care through the Affordable Care Act that has been generally known as Obamacare. And the opportunity to enroll is October 1st, and services will begin to be available on January 1st. And so we at Faith on the Front Line are delighted to have the information that Minister Leslie Malachi from the African American Ministers Leadership Council of People for the American Way, and the Reverend Kenneth Baker, who is a certified educator with the with Covered California, has brought to us. We have two websites that have been brought to our attention. One is the healthcare.gov, and the other, Reverend Baker, is
Covered California, which is COVEREDCA.com.
Okay, and so we want to encourage you to turn to these sites and get this information so that you can see that you and your family have the best health care available, and you no longer have to be discouraged by pre-existing conditions. You no longer have to be discouraged by someone writing off. In fact, the Act has provided that now the insurance companies have to provide 80%, as I understand it, of their income toward providing for health care, as over against having us pay all of their overhead. And so we're excited about that. Again, thank you so much for tuning in to Faith on the Front Line over at latalklive.com. We are here each Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. We are again grateful to our sponsors, Uncle Darrow's Cajun Cuisine, located at 2560 Lincoln Boulevard in Marina del Rey, and Doolin's on Crenshaw Soul Food Restaurant, located at 4859 Crenshaw Boulevard in Los Angeles. And indeed, on behalf of our executive producer, the Reverend Dr. Louis E. Logan II, we say to you again, thank you so much for tuning in to Faith on the Front Line. Imagine what we could achieve if we didn't care who got recognized, praised, or paid. In other words, don't just talk about it, be about it. Thank you, thank you, thank you.